We're in an intense new season of La Brea. Were you shocked when you read the first script of where we pick up with Riley?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Every episode is just so crazy, and it's its own adventure, action, fantasy, sci-fi, time warped film. So it's actually like, yeah, of course, we were all very like eager to read the first episode of season two, but every episode that we read after that is also just as intense and just as action packed and just as like shocking. We just got episode 14 um 2 days ago, so, and I mean, it is a shock.
You and Jack are stuck in the 80s. Talk about the costumes when you first saw what you would be wearing this season.
Yeah, we were really excited to be in the 80s. Jack is obsessed with the 80s, just like on a normal regular basis. But yeah, my costume is actually basically an exact replica of my mother's wardrobe in the 1980s. So my mom sent me like a bunch of photos, and I sent them to costume, and they pulled a bunch of pieces that looked very similar to what she was wearing. So that felt like a really nice nod to my mom and like a little homage to her time in the 80s. So I loved that, like getting to step into like her shoes for a little time. But yeah, the costumes are awesome, and we played a lot of like 80s music on set to get into the vibe as well. And of course, as you know, as you're watching, Jack and I Jack, who plays Josh Harris, we get to shoot a lot of interior scenes this season. We're like, as opposed to last season where we were outside all the time in the Australian winter, this season we get to shoot inside. And what's fun about that is that we get to step onto these interior sets that are very much decked out with 80s props and furniture and everything. It's very, very fun.
Well, you guys are on your own in this time period. You and Jack get to work more together. For Riley, though, how is she feeling being without her father and her family?
Well, I think, like, of course, we're all trying to get back home to our families. That is what is at the heart of this story. Is we have been apart, we're strained in that way all the time, and how are we going to get back to our families? So of course, like, the stakes are high, and we are trying desperately to get back to our families. And I think what's really wonderful in Riley's story is that in the first season we watched her kind of trying to find her footing, trying to find her agency, her autonomy, and while also trying to figure out this very complicated relationship she has with her father. She really looks up to him, and she's desperately looking for his affection and his she wants him to believe in her, and he is on his own path separate from her, and they're trying to find that together. Whereas in the second season, we pick up with Josh and Riley in the 80s in their separate timeline without their parents. And so they really get to implement all the things that they've learned, all the skills that they've learned in the first season. And as you're watching in the second season, they're tasked with the challenge of saving the world, trying to stop these sinkholes from happening. So they kind of we see them become heroes, which is really, really amazing for like two young adults, like to get to have the script flipped and potentially get to save their parents who were doing so hard, like fighting so hard in the first season to help them and save them and protect them and support them. So yeah, of course Riley wants to get back to her dad and her mom and her brother. And I think it's really fun for Riley to get to explore her agency in the second season.
Well, we know that going in season one that Josh had kind of a crush on Riley. What does their time together alone in the 80s mean for his feelings and maybe some development on her end?
Yeah, they're spending a lot of concentrated time together. So yeah, the eyebrows. Um, yeah, I think more than anything, they are getting to know each other better, because again, like, the first season only takes place across 10 days or so. So it's a very accelerated timeline. Each new episode is only one new day in the sinkhole. Um, So it's very accelerated. And I think that really adds to Riley's kind of confusion about where she stands with him and what she's actually interested in. You know, like we see her in the first season being very torn between like, is this something that I want? Or am I just in an accelerated timeline and I'm jumping into something too quickly? Am I ready for a relationship with this person? Do I even know this person? So in the second season, they get to know each other a lot more. They're spending more time together. So first and foremost, they are becoming friends. They are definitely becoming friends. And of course, I mean, whatever, we got a couple of teenagers in spending time in the 80s with each other. It's very, they get a little cozy. And as the season goes on, I don't know, maybe you'll get a couple smooches.
All right. We heard it here first. This is such an intense season. And as you said, every episode is kind of like a mini movie. It's all so busy, one episode after the other. Are you able to tease some episodes that fans should really keep an eye out for?
I actually think that this upcoming episode, episode 6, is so much fun. I mean, I felt this way about season 1 as well, but every new episode, of course, deepens the story, but is almost better than the last one. You know, like by the time you got to episode 10 first season, it was like, oh my gosh, where did we even begin with this? And I could I have guessed that we'd be here, you know? So I think that every new episode is almost better than the last. But episode 6 is one of my favorite ones. Jack and I had so much fun shooting it. We lean very much into the 80s. There's ice skating, there's walkie-talkies involved. It's very like we're a couple of gumshoes on the track. We're gonna figure out what's going on. Very much figuring out the mystery as we go on. Some new time elements are introduced in episode 6 for the people down below in the sinkhole. So that's a bit of a tease. But yeah, 6 is amazing. 7 is amazing. Our mid-season finale is just gonna rock everybody's socks. I really enjoyed 7. One of my favorites to shoot was also episode 12, though. I think we do a lot more genre bending in episode 12. So yeah, I would say like buckle up. There's a lot coming. And again, if you've watched season 1, then you know that you're in for it. I mean, if you're along for the ride with us, it's a roller coaster.
I was going to say, what is it that makes this series a fast fan favorite? But it seems like we've talked about it pretty much already. There's so much going on, and the sinkhole and the time jumps and people who you don't expect to be paired up with each other get paired up with each other. It's just a thrill ride through and through. Is that the response you've been receiving through social media?
Oh yeah, of course. It's great. We've got like our little tar heads, our people that like really are huge fans of the show, that they tune in. They tune in every week, and they're very active on social media and stuff. And I get to see what they're saying. It's really fun because I mean, I'm watching the show week by week as a fan, as an audience member. So I'm also like participating in that conversation and very much a part of the theories and everything. We're only getting the scripts as we're shooting. So it's not a situation where we're getting them in bulk at the top of the season. We know exactly where the show's headed. So I mean, I'm waiting in anticipation just as much as everyone else is like, what's going to happen next? But yeah, that is absolutely the feeling that I get from everybody that's watching the show. And beyond that, La Brea is very fast. It's fast paced. There's a lot coming at you all the time. Anytime you think it's going in a certain direction, our writers surprise you and go in the opposite direction.
They zig when you think they're gonna zag.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like the Isaiah and Gavin twist. I mean, there's no way anybody could have guessed that. I mean, come on. There's so much of that, which is so fun about did you guess that? Did you know that would happen?
There's no way you could guess any of that.
No, there's no way. And that's what's fun about it. That's what's fun about it. And there's so much that you can do like with this premise as well, with all of the time elements and the time period. I mean, you can go anywhere, you can do anything. So I think that's ultimately like what people find fun. It's an escapist show, it's an adventure show, it's a fantasy show, and then at the heart of it we have a family that's trying to get back to each other. And I think that we all can kind of relate to that, especially coming out of this pandemic. You know, I mean, so many of us were so far from our communities and our families and our friends for so long, and we're all kind of trying to find our way back to them and to that and to what our life, finding a new normal, but looking for something that felt like what life looked like before the pandemic. So I think it's relatable. It's fun for the whole family, and yeah, it's fast, it's action packed, and it can be an escape from our sometimes kind of bleak realities.
Have you any other projects you've been busy working on, or has La Brea just totally engulfed you because it's so busy and there's so many fun-filled episodes? You guys have a full season pickup.
I know we've got 14 episodes. Yeah, no, this is obviously taking up all my time. I'm still in Australia. We're still shooting this thing. We're on episode 13 right now that we're shooting. I've been here since March, so it really has taken up all my time, and which is great. And we have such an amazing cast on this project, and 13 series regulars with all different personalities, their characters and themselves as actors. So we have our own little community and family out here. And this is definitely our shooting schedule is chaotic. I mean, all of our sets are practical sets. Like Bada's fort is real. It feels like Adventureland at Disneyland, like they've got all of these like proper to scale forts, and it's incredible. We are here, we are shooting this thing in the elements in Australia. Yeah, this is taking up all of our time.
Well, what would you like to say then to everyone who are fans and supporters of you and the wonderful work you do on this incredible series?
Thanks for saying that. I mean, I would just have to say, like, thank you so much for tuning in and watching the thing that we've spent so much time creating. It's been such a wonderful journey, and I've learned so much in getting to be an actor every day for like most of the year, this year and last year, which has been like such a wonderful thing. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity. And keep tuning in. We've got lots of surprises for you. I'm tuning in with you guys. Feel free to tweet at me. I'd love to be a part of the conversation in a real way, and talk to everybody about the show as we're watching it and stuff. But yeah, tune in. I'm excited for all of you guys to see what we've been up to.